Hey guys, this is David from Gigi's Fabric Shop, home of Juki Junkies, and today we're going to be going over thread cutters. What causes your thread cutter to stop working on your DX models and your TL models? So I hope you guys watch this whole video because it's going to get cool. Okay, so let's start off with the Juki TL, the semi-industrial sewing machine, and let's talk about the thread cutter. So this machine actually has an industrial style cutter, which means that the blades are pretty much going like this, almost like a scissor, and it can cut very strong threads. It can cut your home sewing, quilting, and decorative threads all the way from 12 weight all the way to 100 weight, which is a very wide variety, and it can cut from a Tex 80 weight, which is a very heavy industrial thread, down to Tex 0 pretty much. So of course, with Tex, it goes from higher to lower, and with weight, it goes from lower is thicker to higher is thinner. So it's a little confusing between the two, but just keep that in mind. So 80, or Tex 80 and below, and 12 weight and above for the TL sewing machine. Now, one thing we like to preach here at Juki Junkies is if you're using an industrial thread on the TL, we usually say don't do it. And the reason being is you're going to dull out your blade a lot quicker than if you're just using your 40 weight, your 50 weight quilting threads. So if you're choosing to do this, you can cut the industrial threads if you would like. I would just recommend not doing it all the time, making it a huge habit, because then you're going to end up dulling out your blade, and replacing it's not the easiest. It needs to go to a Juki technician to replace, which costs a little bit of money. So keep that in mind, and let's kind of go over what you can inspect on this machine to figure out why your thread cutter is not working, so that way you can kind of troubleshoot and figure this out with me. So let's go ahead and move over here. So on the Juki TL, there is the stitch plate here, which the stitch plate you can obviously remove by just getting your T-screw and breaking these two little flat heads loose, and then you can just use your finger to twist them off. It's a lot quicker than using the T-screw. So we're just going to go ahead and remove those two. And if for some reason you lose those when you're moving them around, check out jukijunkies.com. Use code YouTube for 5% off those screws or any accessories on there. Just a quick little plug. Alrighty, so this is the stitch plate. We're going to go ahead and remove this. And at this time, it's a good time to go ahead and examine your stitch plate for huge burrs. If you have those burrs, that can cause your machine to break threads, skip stitch, all those kind of things. So examine it for any burrs. As you can see on this one, we have no burrs on our stitch plate. So that's very nice. And if you do, you can also have your hubby, or if you're handy, you can do it yourself. File down the burrs with some sandpaper, and then kind of just polish it off, and you should be able to get back in action and start using it again. So that's a good way to save a little bit of money. So now that I have the machine stitch plate taken off, in this area over here, you'll see there is the cutter. And if you want to take the stitch plate off and run the cutter one time so you can kind of see the mechanism of how it moves, you can kind of do so. And if you see any thread wrapped up in this area, that could be a cause for your thread cutter to stop working. You can also press the thread cutter and examine those blades and see what blades are moving, and then you can get a closer look at them and inspect for any broken burr, like any burrs in the blade or anything that could be causing it to not cut. So sometimes people break needles, and needles fall in there, and the thread cutter can hit it and it can jam out the thread cutter. There could be a little metal piece in there. Maybe there's a screw loose. So these are all little things that you can kind of examine once you have that stitch plate off to make sure that your thread cutter is working properly. Now, while you have your stitch plate off, we always like to preach that when it's off, you can grab your cleaning swabs, which are found on jukijunkies.com. These come in a pack of 25. And they are really good with grabbing lint because they just grab it and pull it out, unlike a brush where it just brushes it around. This actually pulls the lint out. So now's a good time to kind of clean around that area and inspect for any burrs or any jammed materials in there. And then you can also run your thread cutter with that stitch plate off to make sure that it's free of all that. And then you can throw your stitch plate back on and you're good to go. So that's pretty much that with the TL. Let's go ahead and start looking at the DX. Alrighty, so now that we've learned everything we could possibly learn about the TL thread cutter and all the little fixes and repairs and what it can do and what it can't do, let's go ahead and look at the DX model machine. So this is going to apply for the F series, the DX models. They're all pretty much the same. And we'll go over what you're going to kind of look for and what you can do with this thread cutter on this machine without hurting it. So this machine does not have the industrial cutter that the TL model does. So you're not going to want to use industrial threads with this machine as far as cutting, at least. And I don't think you should really sew with them either on this machine. But so this machine is a 12 weight to 100 weight with threads, and that's going to be for your home sewing threads, quilting threads, and decorative threads. You're not going to ever want to use industrial threads with the cutter at all. That is just a no-go. So we're going to kind of show you what you can do to clean and kind of examine the cutter area if for some reason you're not having consistent cutting. So what you're going to do is you're going to kind of do the same thing we taught you on the TL. You're going to grab that T-screw, break those two flat heads loose, and we're going to go ahead and take this free arm cover off, put that to the side. We're going to take the two screws off the stitch plate, and then once those two screws are off, remember, put those to the side. If you lose them, JukiJunkies.com, use code YouTube for that 5% off for you. We can take this little cover off. You could also leave it on, and boom. I also want to note that you should probably unthread your machine, and you should probably, make sure to take the bobbin case out and all that kind of stuff. And also, if you want, take your needle out too. That way it's not in the way and it can poke you, especially since your machine might be on if you run that thread cutter. So let me just move over here real quick. And we're gonna go ahead and take that bobbin case out. Taking the bobbin case out is pretty simple, just like that. And while we have the stitch plate off, the bobbin case out and all that, we might as well clean the machine a little bit. So I'm gonna grab my cleaning swab and just kind of grab any lint that's in this bobbin case area or this basket area or in this area in general. And as you see right here, there is this little tiny, there's some thread, but there's this little fuzzy thing right here, and you're not supposed to remove that. That fuzzy piece is supposed to stay there. So if you see it and you want to remove it, don't do it. And now that we have all this off and the machine's unthreaded, I'm gonna run the, I'm gonna plug this machine in real quick and run the thread cutter so we can see the action that it has. So we can turn it on and just press the thread cutter. Well, actually, lower presser foot. And I took the presser foot off already. So you can kind of see the action of the thread cutter, all these bars kind of coming out. And what you'll want to do is just run it once or twice, kind of see where all the mechanisms are moving in my video, and then you can kind of make sure that there's nothing jammed in there, there's no lint, there's no broken needle, there's no thread, and if you clear any jams or any threads or broken needles and it's still not working, then you should probably contact your local Juki authorized dealer, or if we're your dealer, contact us, and we can have you ship it in for an examination, making sure that everything's clear, and if it's a warranty, then we can help you out with that. So that's pretty much that with the DX. Keep in mind that you just want to be using 12 weight to 100 weight with this machine, no industrial threads, and if it's not working, take the stitch plate off, unjam any jams, look for broken needles in the area, and also while you have that bobbin case out, it's a good time to examine it for any burrs. Okay, so now let's put our machine back together. So we've examined for any broken needles, any thread wrapped around our thread cutter area, and we've also examined our bobbin case for any small burrs. So first thing first, you're going to want to just put it in like this. Drop it in that little basket, make sure it's seated nice and level, and you kind of want to be able to bounce it right there. Perfect. It's nice and seated properly. It's not halfway up like that and low on the other side. You want to make sure it kind of clicks into place like that. You might not always hear the click, but that's that. So now we can go ahead and throw our stitch plate on nice and gently. And then we can just go ahead and throw our face plate screws in, and I like to tighten these with my hand. And then I'll go back and snug them up with my T-screw. And then we can throw our bobbin and our bobbin cover on, and we're good to go. Okay, so we've learned a lot today. We learned all the little things that can mess up your thread cutters and the do's and don'ts on the TL and the DX model machine. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If there's any questions on the thread cutters, feel free to comment them down below and we'll answer them. And if for some reason your thread cutter is still not working after this video, reach out to a Juki authorized dealer, preferably your Juki authorized dealer that you purchased the machine from, and they will help you out with any warranties or fixing the thread cutter or replacing any blades that might be broken or dull. So make sure you do that. And if you really enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, subscribe to the channel because we post every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if there's any parts or accessories you need for your Juki, or notions, or cleaning swabs, or oil, or anything you could possibly think of for sewing, go to jukijunkies.com and use code YouTube for 5% off on your whole order. And that excludes machines, of course, but give us a call if you have any questions on machines, and we can always help you out there. So I hope you guys have a great day, and thank you so much for watching this video. Bye.